Let's see if we can find any information real fast about the new game having virus on it. I just had a freaking virus swipe and they found some viruses on it and
ESM
freaking
draws.
malware. So this is what I want to look up. Find out how to spell that goddamn game. The new CSGO Overwatch game, Valentine. I ain't spelling it right. I gotta look it up. There it is. Oh, alright, there it is. No, I saw it. Copy. Dollar. And how this game has. Alright, how this game has malware and virus. Paste. Space. Enter. Oh, it does. It does. Let's go ahead and post this shit live. Alright. And let's change. The new game everyone likes is bad and is a but basically a virus. Let's try and fucking damn it. This ain't gonna work. Hey Chrome. Virus. Yeah, I did spell it right. Just make sure.
Here's the definition of virus. An infective agent that typically consists of a nucleic acid molecule in a protein coat, is too small to be seen by
Guys, I'm
light
so shocked at what I
microscopy,
just
and is
found.
able to multiply only within the living cells of a host.
Riot Games' new anti-cheat Vanguard is a literal rootkit. If you guys don't know what a rootkit is, basically, it's a collection of computer software that is typically malicious that enables access to an area or software in your computer that it is otherwise not able to access. Rootkits usually mask their existence as well. As you guys can tell, this sounds super sketchy and like actual spyware, and that's basically what it is. Riot Games asks its players to trust them, and they did make a post about Vanguard on the Riot Games website where they talk about what it is. But what you guys have to consider is Riot Games is a company, and a company's goal is to make money, and companies spying on people and selling data is not anything new. I would honestly tell you guys not to install this game or its problematic anti-cheat. It's been causing people to have FPS drops in other games and is basically just collecting your private information. The rootkit runs 24/7 as soon as you turn on your PC. It has the highest admin privilege and has its own kernel driver. The
Oh my
anti-cheat would be
god.
fine if it would only run when the game was being ran, because that would be logical and make sense,
I
but
kept
no.
getting
It
fucking
runs as soon as you boot your
viruses
computer and
after
until
I
you turn it
installed the
off.
game.
People
I
have
didn't have
reported
the
how
keys
unhappy
for
they
it
were about
though.
this on Reddit, and trusted Riot admins were even deleting posts that people made talking about Vanguard and its issues with other games. The idea for Valorant isn't even an original idea anyways. It's all hype, and YouTubers are capitalizing off of it by making outrageous videos saying how they're going to go pro in it. I'm not hating on it, I'm just pointing out what other people are saying. I want you guys to do your own research on this topic. Don't believe something just because I said it, even though I'm telling you the truth. I just want everyone to be educated on what they are about to go into instead of blindly walking into a data mine with no knowledge it's even happening. Thank you guys for watching this video,
Yeah,
and if you learned something new, don't forget.
let's go ahead and look into some of the other claims about the game because this isn't the only claim. Like this isn't just the only fucking claim.
Hey guys, I know I look like complete shit. It's because I didn't sleep until 3 a.m. waiting, for that Valorant key, and I still didn't get it. I still didn't get a fucking key. So what I want to talk about today is Valorant anti-cheat that starts upon computer boot. which is pretty weird, right? Because other games like CSGO, Overwatch, and any other game on the planet doesn't start with their anti-cheat on the startup, and that's what really I find confusing. So I'm gonna be looking into deep Reddit and actually seeing what's going on here, because this could be huge. This could mean that Riot has some form of vulnerability on Valorant that could potentially be anti-cheat. Now be sure to watch until the end of the video, because I'm gonna be explaining everything right here. So let's make an example what happens. You wanna play Valorant and the anti-cheat is already on your PC. It has all the privileges. So you have a piece of software that can be turned off that runs with elevated privileges non-stop on your system. If someone with malicious intent can figure out a way how to use it as a rootkit, like come on, Riot are not magician at creating software that can be cracked or beaten. So what some person could basically do, just for example, is have a Bitcoin miner on it. And what this would mean is millions of players would have Bitcoin on their Valorant, PC, and what they basically would make is a huge disaster for Valorant on the first hand, and a ton of money for the hacker. So of course someone is gonna try that, right? That's one key valid point. Now let's say the anti-cheat gets compromised tomorrow. Won't know what you won't know that your computer is getting exposed, and it won't update until you start a game. So I think this is not really an issue, because Valorant is gonna catch this pretty quick. If there's some compromise stuff, it's gonna be pretty fast in my honest opinion. And I also believe it should be very clear that something is going to Riot anti-cheat is basically not like any other. So for example, if you have usually anti-cheats start when you start a game, right? But here some people just plug it in, the cheat, and then start playing. So there's no bans whatsoever, so they can bypass the anti-cheat, and that's what I really find weird, right? So Riot is taking to whole other new level. So it seems easy, right? It's just one anti-cheat that's probably just on all the time. Yeah, but it gets weirder than this. So watch this. Here's the developer's response. So they run a driver system. It doesn't scan anything, which we don't know really. It's designed to take up a few system resources as possible. Okay, I can agree with that. And it doesn't communicate to our servers, so you can remove it anytime. What? Then you can't play Valorant. Why would anyone remove it if you can't play Valorant? Now, we try to be very careful with the security for driver. We have multiple external security research teams review it for flaws. Okay, this sounds pretty cool, but that doesn't mean it's unhackable. So someone could still hack it in the end. So the Vanguard driver does not collect or send any information about your computer back to us. Any cheat detection scan, unless you're some of the network at all. The anti-cheat causing issues in other games. So what the heck is going on is when people play games, it starts to lag as hell. Look at this guy. This guy's playing Warcraft, from an expansion, and it shouldn't lag at fucking all. Now he's now gonna uninstall Riot Vanguard, and look at this. It's not gonna lag at all. So if that doesn't cause a few red alarms, I don't know what it is. I don't think it's compatibility issues, to be honest. Why would it be compatibility issues? For real, guys, be careful. Valorant is still in beta, so there are a lot of things that we don't know yet. And this is what I'm really afraid of, is like some, Valorant key system getting compromised, and then you getting fucked. And, just everything installing. And this got removed, by the way. And, and this is what I'm really afraid of, is like some Valorant key things that be careful. Valorant is still in beta, so I don't think it's compatibility issues. If now from people play causing issues. So what the heck is going on is when people play games, it starts to lag as
Look
hell.
at his
Look at this
lag.
guy. This guy's playing Warcraft, from an expansion, and it shouldn't lag at fucking all. Now he's now gonna uninstall Riot Vanguard, and look at this. It's not gonna lag at all. So if that doesn't cause a few red alarms, I don't know what it is. I don't think it's compatibility issues, to be honest. Why would it be compatibility issues? For real, guys, be careful. Valorant is still in beta, so there are a lot of things that we don't know yet. And this is what I'm really afraid of. Is like some, Valorant key system getting compromised, and then you getting fucked. And, just everything installing. And this got removed, by the way. That's the worst of it. This got removed. And I'm not sure, someone said because they should go in a bug meta thread. I don't believe it, to be honest. Like, why wouldn't he just move it to the bug mega thread? Like, this is so confusing to me. And I want to know your, opinions on the Valorant anti-cheat, because right now it's getting a lot of traction. And be sure to subscribe for more Valorant content, drop a comment, leave a like, join the community. And this fat man signing out. Peace, guys.
AI-enabled capabilities go beyond the basics to amplify digital transformation. Chatbots, virtual assistants, smart analytics, and intelligent ticket management enable fast responses and an outstanding employee and customer experience. To find out more about Micro Focus Smacks, visit the URL below.
And there's your depression. Not just one symptom, there's lots of symptoms holding you back. And you're just a dent on your couch. Done. Then your doctor tells you about Trintellix, a prescription medicine for adults with depression, and you feel this overall relief.
Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar. Who wants to install a rootkit malware into their computer? Oh, is that a resounding no? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been following, Valorant is a hot new free-to-play closed beta game out there, and I have no key. I haven't played it myself, and I don't want to play it myself actually, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Now, Valorant is a game, of course, closed beta, and like most multiplayer online games, it comes with an anti-cheat, right? If you haven't been following, PC gaming, being as open as it is, allows people to inject code, read code, do whatever they want all the time. And so in order to have an online game on PC, you need a strong anti-cheat. There's many anti-cheats that are out there, something like Easy Anti-Cheat, Steam VAC, something Microsoft makes, Blizzard makes, or something as absolutely fucking dog shit as BattleEye. But you know what? I'm not here to just throw anti-cheats under the bus. They serve a very vital reason to exist, and it allows us to enjoy our multiplayer games with the minimal amount of hackers. Yes, you see a hacker every now and then, but I've generally seen them getting lesser and lesser as time has went on. Consoles, as far as I'm considering, they don't really have hacks on them anyways, considering you need to have the latest firmware on a PS4 and Xbox One. So by having that and uncompromised operating systems, you can't run code on these side by side with a video game. So really, anti-cheat doesn't have to exist on these systems anyways. I'm more specifically talking about PC. Now that the whole, spiel is out there, Valorant comes with, or most Riot game stuff at this point as far as I know, comes with something called Vanguard. Now, if you don't know what Vanguard is, let me fill it in real quickly. Basically, players who have played the Valorant closed beta have found out that, hey, this game has a kernel anti-cheat driver, vgk.sys, that runs every time you turn your computer on. What he means by kernel anti-cheat, and this is something that I'm going to get into, okay? Most modern day operating systems comes with something called protection rings. So ring 0, ring 1, ring 2, ring 3. This runs in ring 0 for the Windows kernel permissions, meaning that it has administrator access. It runs pretty much with the highest elevated administrator privileges on your Windows 10 device as soon as it fires up. This is not okay. This is what we like to call a rootkit. This is something that could be used for very nefarious purposes, and it's very willingly installed by people who want to play this game. Now, going down, somebody from Riot Arkham, one of their community managers, I believe, actually responded to this. Yes, we run a driver at system startup. It doesn't scan anything. Pinky promise, of course, Riot Games is owned by Tencent, operating in a country, China, where they can completely get a backdoor into any big tech firm, which Tencent has graciously allowed them time and time. How much you want to trust them now after hearing that? That's up to you. But it doesn't communicate to our servers. You can remove it anytime. You can easily figure this out by applying Wireshark and just seeing how this specific driver relays information. And it probably doesn't. I'll give them credit. I haven't tested it myself, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. That still doesn't make it okay. Vanguard contains a driver component called vgk.sys, similar to other anti-cheat systems. Not all, but some of the very elevated ones that specifically target VMs as well. It's the reason why a reboot is required after installing. Yes, you have to initialize the rootkit somehow, right? Vanguard doesn't consider the computer trusted unless the Vanguard driver is loaded at system startup. This is good for stopping cheaters because a common way to bypass anti-cheat systems is to load cheats before the anti-cheat system starts and either modify system components to contain a cheat or have the cheat tamper with the anti-cheat system as it loads. Running the driver at system startup makes this significantly more difficult, but not impossible. I don't know if Riot Games knows this very well, but anybody who knows anything about hacking or anybody that really wants to make money off making Valorant hacks can figure out something about SMM, which is a system management mode. In a lot of these microprocessors, typically the ones that are using to power this game, and utilize that using that mode, they can actually bypass this software in theory. Now, of course, as far as I can recall, Riot Games, I'm still a little fucking hazy on all this, as far as I know, Riot Games can very easily require that secure boot on Windows 10 is a must when booting. It's not hard to bypass it, it can be done. And it's already been done because the game has actually required some bans going on. There's people actually cheating in the closed beta, so it doesn't work despite giving up your privacy in such a fashion. We've tried to be careful with the security of the driver. We've had multiple external
Every click,
Every frame. Every press.
every sound.
They're playing aggressive.
I'll take mid. Every advantage.
When the difference
Between winning and losing,
is measured in milliseconds.
everything. Everything.
Everything counts.
The Alienware Legendary Battle Station.
Great Majesco with the Twitch Prime. What up, buddy?
Alright, are we going to 25 minutes again, Jared? Is that what we're doing? Team, family, friends?
What?
We going 25 minutes this time again?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. If it goes according to script, we should get a queue in 5 seconds.
Yeah. Paid Actors Inc.
And dude, CS just hit 1.3 million players today.
What up, Melee?
I think it's higher than Dota ever hit.
Yeah, it's because everyone wants to play this game and they're trying to get good before this game comes out, and that game dies.
Oh.
What game?
CSGO just hit 1.3
What up,
million
Toffee?
players.
Damn.
That's nutty.
security research teams review it for flaws. We don't want to accidentally decrease the security of the computer like other anti-cheat drivers have done in the past. Again, who are these security researcher teams? And given the fact that Tencent is behind it, how do I know they're not bought and paid for? Again, I know that sounds conspiracy-ish, But like I said, this is a big money-making business. I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to go as hard on this as I can. The Vanguard driver does not collect or send information about your computer back to us. Again, I'll believe that, but it doesn't make any of this okay. The Vanguard driver can be uninstalled at any time. It'll be Riot Vanguard and add or remove programs. If that's true, and of course it is, because you can do that, why not allow us to toggle it on or off? Why is it a 24/7, as long as your computer is fired on, a requirement? I get it. You want to make sure code isn't running all the time, but how can we trust that this isn't collecting information or scanning the system just on your word? Again, Riot Games is owned by Tencent. Do the fucking math. We think this is an important tool in our fight against cheaters. Yeah, I don't think for a fucking video game I'd let my computer have a goddamn rootkit put into it. Now you may be wondering, well Muda, why would Tencent want to steal my data? They probably don't. Honestly, they don't fucking care. But the reality of it is, by installing a rootkit on your computer, think about it just logically for a second. You don't care, Riot Games don't care, Tencent doesn't care. Who would care about having Ring 0 administrator privilege access into anybody's computer at any given time? Some hacker. Just because Tencent wouldn't be abusing this doesn't mean that a hacker wouldn't take a look at a rootkit installed on somebody's computer and say, hey, maybe I can use it to my advantage. Riot and Tencent, or any security team they hire, isn't the Jesus of programming. There will be cracks in your programming. There will be a security breach. And for something that has Ring 0, kernel level access into your operating system, yes, meaning the highest level of permissions, why you would choose to install that and have a actual backdoor in your system is beyond me. If you're willing to do that, then don't worry about the NSA backdooring into your system, because congratulations, you just created the easiest backdoor rootkit into your system by playing this game. Now, I don't want to blame Riot Arkham for this because he's a programmer anti-cheat lead for Valorant, and I'm sure he knows what he's doing. I'm sure everything that I've mentioned up until this point has flown by his head through and through. I get it. I'm sure he knows it just fine, and I'm not throwing him under the bus by any of this to begin with. But it's not a foolproof solution. I don't agree that installing a rootkit onto your computer for a video game is something that's okay. Now, asking Riot Arkham, he's mentioned numerous times that currently we do not support playing the game inside a virtual machine. If you don't understand, I'm going to go into a situation where you can have your cake and eat it too. You may be wondering, Muda, if you care about this so much, how do you play games like Siege? They have anti-cheat, same thing with every game that I play pretty much online has an anti-cheat. Now, to put into perspective, I virtualize Windows 10. I have Linux running 24/7 on my system. I use Linux for nearly everything. But when I have to play a game like Rainbow Six Siege or GTA Online, then I simply get a Windows 10 virtual machine and I pass a graphic card over to it. I've made a video of it in the past that you can check out if you want to get into the really nerdy shit like this. And what I do is I basically, instead of allowing a dual boot where I let Windows 10 run on my bare system, giving it access to everything connected to my computer, what I do is I just virtualize Windows 10. And that's safer because what I do is I pass a graphic card, I pass a hard drive that literally is just the Windows 10 OS and the games that I'm using, so no outside access to any of my personal data, and I pass through my keyboard and my mouse, and that's it. Otherwise, I just load the system up, play my games, and shut it down, and I go right back to Linux. It's a lot safer, it contains everything, and if I run malware in Windows 10 virtual machines, it's not going to break out and attack me at my OS level Linux. And that's something that I do, and I feel like most people should do that. I feel like it's something that most gamers and most people who use a computer should switch toward. I feel like most a lot safer, it contains, I pass a hard drive that literally is just the Windows 10 OS and the games that I'm using, so no outside access to any of my personal data, and I pass through my keyboard and my mouse, and that's it. Otherwise, I just load the system up, play my games, and shut it down, and I go right back to Linux. It's a lot safer, it contains everything, and if I run malware in Windows 10 virtual machines, it's not going to break out and attack me at my OS level Linux. And that's something that I do, and I feel like most people should do that. I feel like it's something that most gamers and most people who use a computer should switch towards. Why trust Microsoft or any closed source system out there when you can just use their software without all of the security risks? I haven't had a Windows update break on me when I started using VFIO or Linux KVM. It just works right. It works better than if I installed it natively to my system anyways. Now, that doesn't mean that just because I game like that, it's all safe. Siege works, Modern Warfare works, GTA Online works, but Valorant will not work. And Valorant, unfortunately, will not work on my system. It won't work on Shadow PC. It won't work on NVIDIA GeForce Now, as those are all virtualized machines. And it's a system to actually prevent hacking. A lot of people who really do high-level game hacks will use VMs like I do. It's sort of a double-edged sword type scenario. But it's not okay to blanket ban all of them. Now, I don't know if what Riot does is something like Paranoid Fish, where they test for VMs. I feel like that would use a lot of system resources anyways. So I think it's something that they're digging up specifically, and I'm sure in due time we'll be able to spoof it. At one point, CSGO couldn't run in a VM, but now it runs just fine, as far as I know and I've tested. So ladies and gentlemen, going into the meat and crux of all of this, this is a video game that is fine, okay? I'm not talking about the game, I'm talking about the anti-cheat. The anti-cheat that Riot Games is pimping onto us should not be installed by anybody. Because even if Tencent and Riot won't do it, because I don't think they'll do anything bad with it necessarily, even though I do have my doubts, of course, what I do know wholeheartedly is what I'm installing is a fucking rootkit. This is pretty much as close to malware. It is malware in my opinion. And by allowing yourself to have a backdoor this blatant, you're opening yourself up to getting hacked by anybody else in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Valorant may be a fine game, but Vanguard is one of the worst intrusive anti-cheat systems that I've seen. It's not to be negative. Again, it's to point out that this could potentially happen. If you are okay with that, then by all means install the game and call it a day. But if you're worried about your privacy and security even a little bit, maybe hold off on this and wait until it runs in a virtual machine and run it that way, because running it natively may not be the play. And if you're worried again about security, privacy, it definitely ain't the play in my opinion. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like it if you dislike it. Sorry if I get too nerdy sometimes. It's a passion of mine. I know that most people hate when I get nerdy or some shit, so let me know in the comment section below, and I'll keep my nerdiness down to as much as I can. This is me, Muda, and I am out.
What, baby? So there's viruses. Nah, there ain't no viruses on this game.
Hey guys. Hey guys, I know I look like complete shit. It's because I didn't sleep until 3 a.m. waiting, for that Valorant.
Automation and robots are the new normal.
Alright, so everybody is saying
Human interaction is prone to error.
Valorant, and even if you shut off Valorant and remove it, it will still be on your computer. And a lot of YouTubers and people that has no experience in programming, some have done their research and stations out the lane, but there's a lot of misinformation. There were some people that even call this a malware, even though they clearly haven't even Googled the definition that malware has to be malicious. And this is not built for malicious. Some people said, oh, why don't they just make it run on a higher ring? When it's very clear they don't understand what the protection rings are in an operating system, which makes sense. This is not something that you just pick off the street. I've learned this through numerous courses at the University of Oslo. I'm a group teacher in lower level programming and in the class of Introduction to Data Communication and Operating System. And this video has even taken longer time to produce than what I wanted it to, because even though I have programmed in assembly and I worked and understand and been teach and had exams and so on from the University of Oslo in lower level about kernel and different kernel architectures and operating systems, even then I didn't feel comfortable actually going in on details. So I asked one of my professors, Carsten Grewoods, which I work with as I'm a again, a group teacher at the University of Oslo for the Institute for Informatics, and he is my kind of head teacher or the professor of the subject. He's a professor at digital infrastructure and security at the University of Oslo, and he's generally one of the nicest person that I met on the university, and just generally really intelligent. So I talked with him about it, and in general, I will break down this kind of stuff. Of course, like and comment on the video, one, because the thumbnail is probably garbage, because I'm no clue how to make a thumbnail for this. And please share it around. I think that liking and commenting and sharing this video around is important, because even if you think that this is a privacy concern, or you think that it's not a privacy concern, doesn't matter your opinion, I still think it's important that everybody gets an introduction and understand at least what they're saying yes to when they are accepting to run Valorant. I think that is the most important thing, so people get educated and therefore can make up their own decision.
Okay.
Now I will explain, starting with what is a kernel. Now the kernel is the interface between the hardware and the software. In the most basic sense, the kernel is just a program.
Yes.
A program that allows your software to actually do something on your hardware. Remember that your computer has a processing unit, it has memory, and so on. All of that is just on and off switches of electrical current. It's just ones and zero, right?
Architect.
Zero being off, one being on. And it just does these very, 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 very simple tasks. And it does a lot of them really fast, building up a very complex understanding and being able to do stuff on your computer. Now your kernel provides stuff like system calls, a virtual file system, device files. It gives you an API, meaning an application programming interface to your hardware and drivers. And it controls privileges, which is what we are talking about today.
That sounds like Android.
Now a simple way to
more
look
than
at it
Windows
is that the kernel is a program that manages your CPU, your memory, and your processes on your device. In this example, on your gaming computer. This also includes having all the device drivers. If you want to, for example, access your file system, it has to go through the kernel. Okay, so having direct access to the kernel gives you a lot of freedom on the computer. It does that you can execute code, does that you can write and read from memory, you can run practically anything, you can see and access everything in a very simplistic way of looking at it, in a very, what can I say, breakdown way. Now right now on the screen, you will see a graph of what is known as the protection rings. Now what is the protection rings? You see, as you can maybe understand, allowing something to just get direct access to your kernel, any program, like for example something that, you know, Bob underscore X69 Hacksaw would give you, a program like that he would give you, giving him access to run anything on your computer, just literally anything, not just like anything as in, oh, something, but anything as in, he can program and tell your computer to do any instructions, anything, and it will do it. He can tell you to go to your computer and just fetch a bunch of data, and it will just do it and send it to him. That would be pretty scary. So we have what is known as the protection rings. Now these starts, there are 4 rings, and they start on ring number 3, ring number 2, ring number 1, and ring number 0. The closer into the center, meaning rings, the closer to ring 0, or if you are on ring 0, the more privileges, the more access, or the more power you have over a computer, as an easy way of understanding it. Now ring 3 is normally where I'll now on Audacity, closer to access my input and output devices. It needs to access potentially a file system, right? Because it needs to be able to save and maybe load stuff from my file system. It also needs to take input and output from my microphone, right? So how does it do that? If it isn't ring 3, but input and output devices and file systems are located, all your drivers, but all you need to understand is that this is a much safer way. As if your system call is made from an outer ring, the kernel will determine if the user process should be allowed to execute whatever it is trying to do. So when Audacity is telling my computer, hey, I need access to this driver. Hey, I need access to this file system. I can't access that myself because I'm a right? Stuff like that. Now, that is the protection rings. Now, the anti-cheat that Riot is running on ring 0, meaning it has access to your kernel, meaning it can do whatever the fuck it wants, okay? And you're not stopping it, it's just doing it. Now, is this good or is it bad? It's industry standard for a lot of anti-cheats. Both what is called easy anti-cheat and also Battle Eye are both running on ring 0 of this layer. So it is all of. I think they called Your Valorant. They posted this video and they said like, oh, this is probably some mistake that is just made by the dev team. You don't accidentally give it kernel privileges. It's not like it's like if anti-cheat then go to ring 0. Oh, I meant ring 3. Sorry, mistype. That's not how it works. This is not an accident. It is intended by design because they need to do it to be able to have a robust anti-cheat. Normally, they have one on ring 0 and they have wrong on ring 3. The ring 0 gives an internal perspective for the anti-cheat, and the ring 3 one gives an external perspective of what processes are being created for the anti-cheat. Combining that can make it difficult to develop cheats. Now, therefore, shouldn't be worried. Okay, I get it. However, this runs on boot, and that is the one thing that some people seem to be worried about. Because that essentially means that you have what is known as a rootkit, because that's what it is. It is a rootkit. It has access to your root. Now, this is something that freaks people the fuck out, because when you hear rootkit, you think hacking. But a rootkit doesn't need to be malicious. Again, dear YouTubers, just because it is a rootkit, if you just read the definition of a rootkit, it is a lot of time for malicious intent. But that does not mean that devs are not making it for legitimate purposes. When you trust the person that is giving you the rootkit, or in this, the anti-cheat, you trust Riot or whatever, then okay, then it's fine that they have this access because they need it to do stuff. There's a reason you have access and you are able to get access to layer 0. If there was no reason, so like programming wise, outside of viruses, to be able to need access to the inner ring, then why would the inner ring even be a thing that you could get access to that easily? If that makes sense. So, no, you can't just push it further. Okay, then it's fine that they have this access because they need it to do stuff. There's a reason. No, you can't just push business standpoint when it comes to that. If Riot got caught doing some shady business on your computer, one, there's a pretty big chance they would get fined because that's not legal. If they were starting to, for example, steal user data, which they were not allowed to steal because that goes against the GDPR in Europe, and they get fined a lot of money for doing shit like that. And number 2, they will lose the trust of their user base, which is significantly more expensive. So, for the risk versus the reward for them doing something is not that big. Now, then the issue, of course, comes with which if you work in IT security, you probably thought this immediately when you heard that, okay, we trust the guy that is, the authority that gives us this rootkit. We trust them. But what if they get compromised? And that is, of course, the issue that we have. If Riot gets fucked and gets hacked by some guy, and some guy gets access and can take these anti-cheat rootkit and edit it so that it can read our files, so that it will send data to him and push that update out. Everybody updates their game because they want to play, and bada bing, bada boom, evil bad guy Hacksaw now has access to your computer from a rootkit. That's not really nice. That is not really good. Now, how safe is Riot? Riot says they have done independent tests, they've done independent studies. I have not, and again, I cannot talk from that perspective. And this is where I put the question out to you. Personally, I am not uninstalling Valorant. If I am for some reason taking a break from Valorant, or if the closed beta is over, I will most likely remove Vanguard from my computer. That's just something that I like to do. You don't even need to do that, because it doesn't, according to Riot, and I trust that company, it does not gather information, it does not look at you in that way. It's not spyware of any type, it's not keylogging you or any bullshit like that. It's not looking at your passwords, which rootkits can. They can look at passwords. It's not doing any of that. And if they want to do it, as I understand it, they then need to patch their code and push out an update. And if they do that, well, then that's a completely different discussion. However, I don't think Riot will do that. And I personally don't think that they will get compromised with a breach, because it's not just about getting access. It's getting access, changing the code, and somehow pushing out that. And it's not just, as I understand it from what I've talked with game devs, it is not just click push. It's not like GitHub where you just like add next time.
I don't know. I mean, he seems like he was brought in to kind of like bring the shit down a notch or something, you know. I wonder if I was banned from Josh OG. I probably have. I hope I have.
Wait.
And wait a second, what?
Every click,
Every frame. Every press.
every sound.
Hello. I haven't slept. I tried, couldn't. I've been up since 10 a.m. after a heavy night of drinking. By a heavy night, I had 2 beers. I'm probably gonna have to make myself a cup of tea. I'm still wound up. I'm serious. I'm still kind of wound up. Am I going crazy, or is it like playing like 2 images right now? Okay. What am I wound up over? Just how I am being abused by everyone on my goth. I'm still upset. I don't know why it's not playing like... I mean, I'm fine with seeing all these pictures again and again and again and again. How's the nap? I did not nap. That was the first bit of fan art I think I got. This one here. They just saw Mazar's art of Ava and Kratos. Dude. Think it's in goth nature. I did make a couple. I did a couple. This one. See that little gif? Very small. There's Jackie, Otto, Cheryl, and Joe Kane. Young Dad poking his head up. Okay, I need... It keeps playing the same ones, the same pictures over and over again. Why is it doing that? I don't want to loop it. No loop, just randomize. Yeah, the new picture is so good. That's when freaking Summer went and got herself kidnapped. I don't think I'm ever gonna get along with one of Kath's characters, and I don't know why she does it. I honestly don't know why she does it. I play such friendly. No, honestly, I don't think Lauren's gonna get along with Vale. I don't think Lauren's not gonna get along with Vale. Like, there is no way they're gonna get along. If Lauren is ever in a situation where she's very good at being, yeah. I get along with Kath so well in real life. She's like one of my favorite people. She's one of my favorite people to hang out with, especially like from Twitch London. like I really love hanging out with her. And okay, that's really creepy. So Vale is one of the. We'll see. We'll see how it is when, because we'll see how she is when she's knocked down a couple of pegs from captain to cadet. You see? Oh, Kath is great. She's awesome. Todd is here. Perfect. You dare mock the son of a shepherd? Oh, what? There's a song? Volume warning.
I don't think she's gonna go live. I was just hoping she was gonna go live.
Welcome to Oasis. Prepare for battle. Select your hero. safety is my primary concern. I recommend moving behind us. Systems repaired. System restart initialized. For your safety, analyzing previous combat performance. I'm still new at this. I am not ready to be deactivated. Upgrade detected.
Let them up! Get in this Even from that.
Rebooting. First round lost.
training.
Welcome to Rialto. Prepare to attack. Select your hero. I cast this forth. Attack commences in 30 seconds. Your safety is my primary concern. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attack commencing. Escort the payload. Analyzing previous combat performance.
Duplication initiated.
Someone help me move this thing! Mecha activated!
Rest is 1 HP.
Installing updates.
Group up here. They're getting one back. Join me.
Rally at my position.
Let's get you back out there. Understood.
Damn. You got my fucking arm. Again. Motherfucker. Lucio's 1 HP. Good job. Tracy's dead. No, no. Whoa. Go for some guys.
I still have a job to do.
Rendezvous at my position.
Let's get you back out there.
Hey there.
Greetings.
Barrier activated.
Hello. Helden sterben nicht.
game. Triple kill. Personality duplication complete.
What? Are you kidding? No, they're not kidding. Shit. What do I have installed really on the system, man? Everything's on my other one. Yeah. I think I got Apex on here. Siege on here. Fucking kneecaps are aching. Oh god. I wonder what I'll try this maybe, I guess, if it's loaded. No, it ain't. Shit. Alright, I guess I'll log off and log back on with my other in the system and use that one. Yeah, there it was. I guess I used that instead. And what does this do when I turn it on? Does it even work? Motherfucker already did that. They're both. I think virtualization really only works on Intel.